Welcome back to the channel, and today we'll be looking at a case that's a little different from the cases I normally make. And that's because this case is designed for a specific purpose and it's something that a lot of people have requested. Even though it looks like a regular case on the outside, it's actually designed to hold an APU system and a bunch of hard drives, because its main purpose is to be a NAS system. However, the case also works perfectly fine as a normal desktop APU system for those who don't do any graphic demanding tasks and just want to have a PC to do daily tasks and play some non-demanding games, with the option of having loads of storage space in a compact and clean package. Even though the case is about 275mm tall, it's designed to be printable on many of the most common printers like the Ender 3 or similar, requiring a build volume of only 210 by 210mm. The case features a vibration dampening hard drive mount, a slide-in chassis, and it can hold up to 4 3.5-inch hard drives or up to 6 2.5-inch hard drives, an ITX motherboard, and a SFX power supply. The design was created using Shaper 3D, and I've been using this program for a long time now, and I absolutely love its simplicity and ease of use. If you want to try Shaper 3D for yourself, you can now use the promotion code MAKERUNIT10 to get 10% off your subscription. All the panels in this build are designed to be printed laying flat with zero support material. This is to ensure strong parts and lower the risk of failed prints. When all the parts are done printing, the total filament usage comes out to about 1.2 kilograms. We start the build by assembling the internal chassis, which is built separately from the external cover. The first parts we grab are the hard drives and the hard drive mounts. The cool thing about these is that they're designed to have some up and down play, kind of like a spring, and the intention for these springs is to dampen the audible vibration noise that comes from the hard drives when they're operating. Each spring mount has a triangle on one side. This indicates which way is up and also which side the SATA and power connectors on the hard drive should be on. The mount can then easily be screwed into place using regular hard drive screws. After installing the amount of hard drives we want to use, we flip it over and repeat the same for the opposite side, also paying attention to the direction of the small triangles. As you can see, we now have a nice and bouncy hard drive mount, which at this point seems a little too wobbly, but don't worry, it'll be more secure once everything is put together. Next, we can grab the motherboard mounting plate, which goes on top, and the internal bottom panel, which goes below the hard drives. Both of these parts have holes to insert M3 threaded inserts. Each panel also has two sliding slots where the hard drive mounts can slide in, first the bottom, then the top. To lock the hard drive mount into place, we can now add the rear panel, which will also strengthen the assembly. Here we just want to use the two lower screw holes on the motherboard mount, as the three on the top will be used later for a different purpose. We can now flip the assembly over and install the internal front panel, and this panel has an arrow to indicate which way should be facing up. With the front and the rear panel mounted, we can now see that the hard drive mount is much more stiff and has a more satisfying bounce to it. The standoffs for the motherboard are simply self-tapped into the existing holes in the mounting plate and may require some downward force to grip onto the plastic. Once they're installed, we can drop into place our motherboard, and the CPU cooler should be pre-installed before dropping the motherboard into place. For this build, I recommend using the Noctua NH-L12S due to its good cooling capacity and quiet operation. Our power supply can now be mounted with the four holes in the back of the chassis, and I recommend having the fan facing outwards to pull air from the outside of the case. Now we can move on to installing all the necessary power cables, SATA cables, and hard drive power cables. The design has a built-in cable pass-through to make cable management easy. The front of the assembly can hold a 92mm fan. Any 92mm fan should work here. We can now install our I/O shield and attach the upper part of the rear panel with 3 remaining threaded inserts using some M3 by 10mm screws. This upper part of the rear panel is also what holds our power button into place, and with that, our internal chassis is complete. Now, let's move on to the external cover. Here, it's very important that we assemble the parts in a certain order to make it work. First, we grab our bottom panel, and this can be identified by the big square in the middle. But in the final design files I'll publish, all these panels will have numbers on them to help you identify which part is which, and more detailed written instructions will be added to printables, telling you step by step which order you should join the panels. Then we grab the front panel with the logo cutout, and we want to align the bottom part of the logo panel with the front part of the bottom panel. These both have 45-degree angles that when joined will become a 90-degree angle. To join them, we have this long joining piece. We push this in so far that it's no longer sticking out on either side. Next, we grab our right side panel, and the panels can be joined in the corner vertically by adding one of the short joining pieces and pushing it all the way down until it's flush. Next, we can grab another long joining piece, same as for the front and bottom joint, and then push that all the way in. Repeat the same process for the other side with the long piece horizontally and the short piece vertically. By adding all these joining pins in both the vertical and horizontal directions, it will actually interlock the panels, preventing them from moving in any direction, resulting in a very strong bond between the parts, almost like if they were printed as one solid piece. We repeat the process again now with the other half of the cover. We take the top panel and the remaining upper front panel piece, which can be identified by these three joining points, and assemble it just the same way as before, in the exact same order. The long joint between the two first panels, then the short joint vertically and the long joint horizontally for both sides. We now have two strong halves of the case, which again can be joined using these special joining pieces that will clamp the parts together. These joints are identical on both sides and just slide all the way in until they stop. To make the case even stronger, we also want to add these three sliding front clamps that just slide sideways onto the clamping points in the front center of the case. I recommend using at least 5 layers of wall thickness when printing all these parts to ensure that the joints are strong enough. With that in place, we now have a surprisingly sturdy external cover for the build, but we're missing one little piece, which is the logo insert. This just pushes into place from the back and can either be melted or glued into place if the tolerances are too loose. Now that the external cover is fully assembled, we can move on to installing some threaded inserts. These are used to secure the inner chassis to the cover. Then it's just a matter of sliding the entire pre-assembled chassis into the cover and securing it in place with some M3 by 10mm screws. I found it necessary for this particular design to have the power button on the back, due to the way the entire chassis slides in and out of the cover. I had to mount the button in a way so it would follow the chassis out, rather than accidentally ripping apart the cable every time you went to open it up. Even though this case has no air intake at the bottom, I still like to add some soft feet to the case just to give it a more premium feel. You may have noticed that I used only 3.5-inch drives in the video so far. But don't worry, I have also made adapter mounts so you can add up to 6 2.5-inch hard drives, or a combination of both. This little cage holds up to 4 drives securely in place with threaded inserts and M3 screws directly to the original vibration dampening mount. You can really do whatever suits your needs the best. Here you see an example where I have the 2.5-inch drive cage plus 2 3.5-inch drives below it. And we can also exchange these 3.5-inch drives with some 2.5-inch drives with the adapter plate if we prefer that instead. And that about sums it up for how to assemble this case. My goal was to create a case that could serve as an APU case and a NAS in one design. However, this is my first NAS design ever, so I'd love to hear back from you guys on how I could have made this better, or if anything is missing you'd like to see in a future NAS case build. No case build is complete without testing its performance. And as you can guess, it's pretty well ventilated given the mesh all around, but it has no case fans for the motherboard area, so it will rely 100% on the CPU cooler, and it will really boil down to what CPU cooler you choose. When running a Cinebench stress test on the Ryzen 7 5700G APU I had installed, the maximum temperature reached was just over 72 degrees. And for those who think that the case will turn into liquid plastic as soon as the CPU temperature passes 60 degrees, well, that just doesn't happen, okay? It's fine, I promise. When recording these temperatures, the fan curves were set to silent in the BIOS. Even though this case was designed as a NAS case, it also works great as a normal desktop PC for daily use if you happen to need tons of storage space. And with the recent launch of the new and better Ryzen 8700G, you could potentially even do some decent 1080p gaming on a system like this. So, whether you want to set it up as a NAS system, do some light CAD work, play RuneScape, browse the internet, or watch your favorite YouTube videos, well, this case could be a great option, especially if you seek that extra storage capacity that this case can give you. If you like what you see, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on my future project uploads. Also, make sure to leave a thumbs up to help the algorithm push the video to new audiences. If you're interested in accessing the files for this project, they are available to download for my Printables Club members. I understand that the words club members sounds a bit scary to some, but I've set the price as low as a cup of coffee a month, and you're free to leave the club at any time if you feel like the projects are no longer of interest to you. When you're a member, you'll also get access to my Discord server, where you can get project help directly from me or other club members. Keep in mind that your Discord invite link will be sent to you automatically in your welcome email from Printables when you sign up as a member. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I promise that more good stuff is coming. So again, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Throw in a thumbs up and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again.